Metro Talk. I'm Kent Scheffel. Thanks for being with us. Mike Walters from the Southwestern Illinois Employers Association is here. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you for having me, Kent.
And Jim Schrader from the Telegraph is alongside. Welcome, Jim.
Hey, Kent.
Jim, we've got some lawmakers now that are reportedly considering a multi-billion-dollar loan package to pay down the state's backlog of bills. Should the legislature be moving forward with a multi-billion-dollar loan package?
Well, I guess the terminology is they are considering, again, a loan package to pay down a backlog of bills. Let's begin with the biggest backlog of bills that the state has, which is the $96 billion they owe in pension obligations. That is long-term. What we're talking about here is the $9 billion backlog that the state owes to providers of state services. Medical providers, these are people that provide for sick and elderly. These are people that provide mental health. These are people that provide medications. These are people that provide office spaces, leaseholders. Basically, any provider that does business with the state is running somewhere between 4 and 5 months behind in state payments. That amounts right now to $9 billion. Some of the legislators would like to see the state borrow upwards of that, at least $4 billion or up, depending on which legislator you're talking to pay down the worst of the worst with those, with that money that they borrow and sell bonds for that debt, saying that the interest paid on the bonds would be less than the interest accrued and late charges that they owe to these providers, which is, on the surface, sounds like a good idea, but it really only sounds like a good idea if the spending habits change. Otherwise, you borrow $6 billion. I think one legislator wanted $4. You borrow parts of $9 billion. You still owe that $9 billion. But if you don't curtail spending, you owe that debt, plus you continue to rack up debt. Be like using your MasterCard to pay your American Express bill and continuing to use both of those credit cards and running the balance right back up. Comptroller Judy Barr-Topeka is against this plan, saying that unless we see some real spending cuts, some real legislation to curtail spending, that this is not a good idea. I also did a little more research. The legislators that say that this would be, the interest on the bonds would be less than the accrued interest and late payments. I guess that depends on how you do the math. For example, and I don't know if specifically Lewis and Clark is owed money by the state. My guess is they are. The University of Illinois is right now owed $432 million, but because it is a state agency, it can't collect interest. The outside providers, the hospitals, the nursing homes, the pharmacists, all that can accrue that, but educational institutions, schools cannot accrue interest. So I don't know if this really would be a savings on the interest rate or not. But I personally agree with Judy Barr-Topeka that before we go forward on this, we need a change in strategy in Springfield to say, okay, we're going to get our house in order here. We're going to do a debt consolidation loan here, but we're going to stop running up the bills on the credit cards. We also have the Republican side of the House and Senate in Springfield are saying they don't really want to go forward with any type of a borrowing plan on the backlog of bills until there's some type of meaningful legislation on the pension side. So it sounds like we're playing, once again, political kickball in Springfield, and we really can't decide what we want to do. But what we continue to do is rack up a bunch of bills with no method to pay for them. We had a 67% increase in the income tax rate in the state of Illinois a year ago now, in January. That generated an additional $6 billion in unplanned revenue, and we still have the same backlog of bills that we had a year ago. We haven't learned from the mistakes in spring.
Mike, some lawmakers say we should put together a borrowing plan to pay the backlogs of state bills. Is that a good idea?
That's what they said in 2003. They passed a $10 billion bill, and they kept spending. They added more programs, more programs, more programs. I'm unfortunate. It's when you. This is a political game, and it is partisan. The Democrats have a track record of adding programs. Specifically, the Chicago Democrats. There's not a spending bill they haven't seen that they don't want. They didn't learn from 2003 when they passed this, and the brainchild behind it was Governor Blagojevich, who at that time said, let's just do 8 years of interest only, and then the last 22 will be the principal. Well, his thought process was by the time that comes around, he'll be the President of the United States, and it won't matter how bad it looks in the state of Illinois. I agree with Jim on a lot of things, except for the backlog on some of these is up to 9 months to a year. I work with a couple of facilities that work with the handicap, and they're still waiting for bills from February of 2012. So the backlog is a lot further back than what most people think. If you borrow this money, they're not going to pay off the bills. They're going to do more spending. That's what they want to do. That's what the leaders of the Democratic Party want to do. And anybody that wants to come forward and say that's not true, they haven't been paying attention. If you look at the state of Illinois, the last 10 years has gotten worse and worse and worse. There's nothing the Republicans could have done the last 10 years to stop what's going on. Right now they're in the super minority. There's nothing they can do to stop this. And if they do this bill, it's going to be more money for our children that's going to come out of their pockets. It's time to stop the spending, stop the borrowing. Let's get back into doing what the state is there for, and it's not there to give money, taking it from the rich and giving it to the poor. It's time to stop.
We need to take a break. We've got more Metro Talk coming up.
Hi, I'm Audrey Lucchese, and I'm from Alton, Illinois. I love music, and that's why I came to Lewis & Clark. It's been an amazing experience here at Lewis & Clark, working with students that are so talented, coming from all over the area, and they work so hard to follow their dreams. The music faculty at Lewis & Clark they're fantastic, and they're there every step of the way to push you to follow your dreams. One of the unique opportunities that I have had at Lewis & Clark is being able to record my own music with a fellow student here. Being able to record our music has opened doors for us in the music industry. My long-term goal is to finish here at Lewis & Clark and then to transfer to a 4-year school and finish my degree in music performance. I would recommend Lewis & Clark to another student because it is definitely a great place to get started and it can open so many doors for you.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education.
Right up here.
So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour
Lights there, darks there.
to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Find out how you can live united for education. Give, advocate, volunteer. Go to liveunited.org.
Do you wear this?
You're watching Metro Talk. I'm Kent Scheffel. Jim Schrader and Mike Walters are here. Mike, school officials in Washington, Illinois, which is located west of Peoria, are considering the idea of sending some school administrators through police training so that they could become auxiliary police and then be licensed to carry guns in the school to deal with any potential problems that should arise. Bottom line is it a good time for administrators to be carrying guns in the schools in Illinois?
Well, I think something has to be done. I've read an article where somebody's going to put cameras in their schools. To me, all that's going to do is we're going to be able to identify the person if he or she happens to run out and get away. But putting cameras in, you're just going to videotape the slaughter, and then people are going to try to steal that to put on YouTube. There has to be something. We have to get serious. Alton High has 2 police officers at their facility. Maybe it's time that schools look into hiring police officers, maybe some off-duty police officers to come in. But if you want to crack down on these types of shootings, it has to be power against power. You can't bring a knife to a gunfight. You lose every single time. You look at the cities in this country right now that have gun control, they have the highest crime rate. Why is that? What happened at Sandy Hook was a horrendous, horrible thing. But yet, as Rahm Emanuel says, never let a crisis, good crisis, go to waste. And the bodies weren't even into the hospital or to the funeral home, and you heard the Democrats coming out, we need gun control, gun control, gun control. Well, come to find out, the gun that the young man used was already banned in Connecticut. You couldn't own it. So gun control didn't work. The fact of the matter is, if you want to protect these children, you're going to have to do it. And you're going to have somebody at the school that has gun power. Is it going to be an administrator? I don't know if I'd want you carrying a gun, to be honest with you. But there are some people, I believe, that Lewis and Clark has hired that could. I believe that there are, like I said, Alton High has 2 police officers. I think maybe it's time, even though budgets are being cut from the state, that the schools need to look at what's more important. All we hear about is our children. If they're not willing to protect the children and hire somebody to protect them, then I don't want to hear it anymore from especially liberals that always tell us how we're there to protect our children. Gun control laws don't work, never have worked. What happened here was that it was an absolute abomination, and it was even more disgusting when the Democrats, within hours, were screaming for gun control, gun control, gun control. And when I ask my friends that are liberals, where does it work? You know what they say? They don't have an answer for me. So putting somebody in there with a gun, I think, is a good idea. An administrator, maybe not such a good idea, but an off-duty police officer, I think, would certainly help curb this type of crime.
Jim, the community of Washington, Illinois is looking at sending some school administrators through police training so that the administrators can be carrying a gun at the school. Is that a good idea?
Well, I think you have to start with the premise of what is our best protection, and I agree with Mike that if something bad is going to happen, there really is no ultimate protection. There is no fail-safe operation that would have stopped a Sandy Hook or a Columbine. It might have reduced the massacre, but it's not going to eliminate it. In lieu of having police officers in the schools, in lieu of having people that are sworn to protect and defend, and they have been through training, they are full-fledged police officers, they have the right to arrest, and so on and so forth. If the school systems can't afford that, or if the state can't provide it, then I would rather have a trained teacher and administrator carrying a gun than basically somebody taking it on their own, or we'll go through the hat and we'll say, okay, the coach, the PE teacher, and the Latin teacher will carry guns on alternate Wednesdays and Thursdays. You see what I mean? So the idea that they would put them through some type of training makes sense if we have no other solution. If they can't afford to hire police officers or sheriff's deputies or something like that, training is key. The worst person to have access to a gun is somebody that doesn't know how to use it or doesn't have the basic mindset on when and how to pull that handgun or out of a holster. In the case of Sandy Hook, had there been more officers on site, it's certainly the death toll would have been less. But the reality of Sandy Hook, the reality of Columbine, is like the University of Texas, where you have somebody climbing the clock tower and sitting up there with a bolt-action rifle picking off people. If someone has the mindset to do this, you don't have to walk through the halls of the school. It can be done otherwise. The idea of many ultra-liberals is if we ban all guns, then this will never happen again. Well, that's silliness. First of all, you'll never get all the guns off the streets. And if we've learned nothing else from Prohibition and the so-called war on drugs, the more money you throw at it and the more legislation you throw at it, the more underground and black market becomes the supply of alcohol, drugs, and guns. They're always going to be there, unless there's a worldwide ban on guns, which is not going to happen because you can Google a couple of things on the internet and learn how to build a serviceable single-shot weapon, if that's what you choose to do. If they can't do anything else in Washington County, I would say send those administrators to school, but I'd pick them real carefully, or you potentially have a real liability issue on your hands.
We need to take another break. We'll have more right after this.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Lewis and Clark Minute. Today we're going to be talking with Michelle Singley about the dental hygiene program.
Dental hygiene students learn a variety of treatment skills when they're enrolled in the program at Lewis and Clark. For example, students learn to take a thorough medical history, to perform a head and neck assessment, including an oral cancer screening, and to assess the gum tissue, teeth, and bone of their patients. The students also take dental x-rays, perform dental cleanings, place dental sealants to prevent cavities, and treat the patient's teeth with fluoride or fluoride varnish. Dental hygiene students also teach others to take good care of their teeth with oral hygiene aids such as brush and floss. Our Gina the giraffe puppet is one of the students' favorites. We take her out to the schools to teach the kids good oral habits. For more information about the dental hygiene program, call us at 468-4413 and you can meet Gina.
This has been your Lewis and Clark Minute.
Lead paint poisoning affects 1 million children today. If you're pregnant or have young children and your home was built before 1978, you could be at risk. Learn how to protect your family. To find your home's danger zones, the health effects, or just to find help, log on to leadfreekids.org.
Bring out the action hero in you. Fuel up right and get energized. Be part of the greatest action movie ever. The first movie that puts you in the action. Show us how you train and eat like an action hero. Join in at actionheroalliance.com.
You're watching Metro Talk. I'm Kent Sheffel. Jim Schrader and Mike Walters are here. Jim, a new law in Illinois is cracking down on adults who allow liquor to be served at their homes. Adults charged under the law will face a misdemeanor charge and a minimum fine of $500. If the drinking results in some kind of accident or a death, the charge becomes a felony. Is this law going to make a difference? Is it a good law to have on the books?
Well, I think it's cracking down on adults that serve alcohol to minors, if I'm
correct,
not mistaken. Otherwise, I'm going to jail. Because if you come over to my house, I'm going to offer you a beer. There are types of laws already on the books. You can be held civilly responsible if, Mike's kids have a party and there's drinking and, Susie Q gets in her car and drives home and it has a wreck, then Mike can be held civilly responsible for that. This is just taking this a step up the ladder, making it a criminal charge. I think it's a good idea. And I'm sure that there are parents out there that disagree with me. But the idea that, well, we know little Johnny is going to drink anyway, so we're going to let Johnny bring his high school junior friends over and allow them to have a pool party and have a kegger in the backyard so we can watch them is a lousy idea. Even if you are the type of parents that says, everybody give me your car keys and nobody's going to drive. The fact is, what you're teaching those young people is, yeah, we know you break the law and it's okay, wink, wink, if you're breaking the law with our blessing. Doesn't work that way. It's a law for a reason. You may not like the law. And just like I think that's a stupid place for a stop sign, I'm going to go ahead and run it because it's a stupid law. You can be held responsible for running that stop sign. You can get a ticket, you can get all kinds of things. In this particular case, if somebody wants to go ahead and have a kegger in the backyard for Johnny and his high school juniors, well, just be aware that it is against the law, and not only is it against the law, you supposedly are the responsible adult, and we're coming after you, not the 16-year-old kid that's going to be slapped with a misdemeanor of an underage drinking charge. We're going to go after the parents that allowed it.
Mike, new penalties for parents who let kids drink at their home. Is it a good idea? Do we need it?
It's a good idea. Is it something that is needed? I don't know. I mean, you can already get the parents for contributing to a minor alcohol. To me, I'd like to see who has this, what type of trouble are they in, maybe at the next re-election. This is a bill that gets the problem with the state of Illinois off the front covers. It makes somebody look good. It's a bill to try to get passed so that they can get their name in the newspaper, get on television, and say we're cracking down, we're going to be a lot tougher than we were. Fact of the matter is, this state is a mess. We need to get the state taken care of. Something like this is something, sure, if you want to do it, that's fine, but I mean, there's already some laws out there. I mean, people that allow their children to drink at home, this is not going to deter anybody from doing it. I mean, you shouldn't be having your kids drink in your house anyway or anywhere until they're of legal age. I don't believe this bill right here will do anything to deter the people from doing it, because probably the people that are doing this aren't reading what's going on in the state. They probably won't even know there's a law against it anymore. So I think they need to concentrate on getting the state back in line before they, this is something that needs to be looked at, but to me, this is just some way to get us off of what's really wrong with the state.
Jim, a Chicago-based research group says about a third of the residents in Illinois are living either at or below or near the poverty level. 15% living in poverty, 18% near the poverty level. Is there anything that can be done in Illinois to improve those numbers?
It depends on which side of the fence you're on. I'm sure there's always something you can do. There are different extremes, and some group is not going to like anything that you would suggest. The extremists would say, well, anybody that's living below poverty level, let's give them a monthly living allowance. Let's give them a house to live in. Let's give them a car to drive. We'll give them a monthly allowance that they can cash every month and let them have free groceries, because that would certainly increase their standard of living. But for us to do that, that means somebody else has to pay for it. So if the three of us are paying for it because we're providing for that family over there, some would say, well, we live a comfortable life, we work every day, we have a job, and we ought to provide for those people. The other extreme is saying, and sometimes anecdotally, but sometimes it's true, you have able-bodied people out there that could perform some type of a service, and maybe they can't find a job on their own, so we will provide them some of these services if they work 40 hours a week, picking up trash on the highway, mopping the floors at City Hall, cutting the grass, and then we will provide for them too. I don't have a problem with whatever percentage of that is, for people that absolutely can't physically work. They've been injured, there's something has happened there. There are able-bodied masses in that group that should be able to provide some type of service. It just depends on how giving everybody wants to be to provide for all of those people. And one last thing that I will say about that. Unfortunately, anytime you have widespread programs like that, you're always going to have abuses. And one of the things that this state is not very good at doing is weeding out those that abuse the system.
Mike, Chicago Group's reporting that we have about a third of the residents living at or near poverty. Is there anything we can be doing about that? What should the state be doing? How can we end it?
Well, we're approaching $1 trillion that we've already done on the war on poverty. It's not working. Jim brought up a good point of trying to stop the corruption. Representative Dwight Kay brought up an idea that in Kids First program, where you insure the children of the state of Illinois, if we only did the people that lived in Illinois, we would save $700 million. Well, they didn't want to hear anything about that. So we do have some people that do need the help. I agree with that. I think you do assist them. There's a lot of corruption out there right now. You want to get out of poverty? Go get a job. You have to start somewhere. I get so sick and tired of listening to people say they can't make it on minimum wage. They have 3 children. What have you been doing with your life the last few years that you just now are able to get a minimum wage job? Most people that I know started out in minimum wage jobs, and then you can work your way up. Go to school, learn a trade, do whatever you want, but there's a way to get out of being in poverty. The number of people that are in poverty in this country, in this state, is outlandish, and a lot of them, I believe, are because those people don't want to work. They're 4th or 5th generation of not working, and we need to stop the corruption. If we can stop that, we can get this taken care of.
That's going to do it for this round of Metro Talk. Thanks for being with us. I'm Kent Scheffel. Jim Schrader from the Telegraph has been here, along with Mike Walters from the Southwestern Illinois Employers Association. We'll see you next time.